Hey y'all, my name is Chesney McCook, and for our topic it was sexual assault, and I wanted to zoom in on why victims blame themselves for this particular topic. So I found 3 articles that kind of go into like deeper understanding as to why like victims might blame themselves. So the first one was self-blame and rape victims from the U.S. Department of Justice, and the quote is, in reports from 38 rape crisis centers in 24 states and the District of Columbia, self-blame was attributed to about 74% of victim clients, and those who blame themselves, behavioral self-blame was reported as considerably more common than character self-blame. So that's basically stating that more than 3/4 of like reported sexual assault were also reported as being like the victim feeling like it's their fault, like they did something to provoke the horrendous thing that happened to them. And then I have another one that is from Jenny Stenberg, and her quote states, media outlets ask, well, what was she wearing and was she drinking? The implication being that the woman who is not constantly on alert for predators is asking for something terrible to happen. And I feel like this stereotype is embedded in women and girls as like we're growing up, as like we're in school. You know, it's just like, it's just taught that that's okay. Like, you know, the first question you ask, like whenever, or the first question someone gets, like whenever they get raped is, oh, well, like what were you wearing? Were you drinking? And this just shouldn't be made okay. Like this just shouldn't be made like that's like a reasonable question to ask, because regardless, consent is consent. It doesn't matter if I'm practically nude. If I'm not giving you consent to touch me, to have sex with me, penetration, whatever, then that is not okay. If I withdraw from consent, like maybe I'm tipsy and I initially give consent and then I withdraw from it and the guy like continues to do whatever he's doing, that is also sexual assault. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So then the third quote was from Solara Mental Health, and it says, unfortunately, there's a tendency for people suffering from middle to complex trauma to blame themselves for abuse. This is a problem because they often do it when they objectively were not responsible for it. This is a toxic self-blame that can happen to any victim of trauma. However, it's particularly prevalent for survivors of sexual assault, and sexual abuse. So this is basically saying that a lot of people who were sexually assaulted blame themselves rather than their abductor, and that just like shouldn't be true. It's extremely toxic. It could lead to like mental issues, and it also goes on further down the line and says, as we see, society often teaches victims of sexual abuse that their trauma was avoidable. So self-blame related to trauma comes in a variety of different places. To understand in more detail, let's take a common look at why victims blame themselves. And okay, so the number 1 reason was manipulation or gaslighting from partners. 2 is victim blaming. For example, like, why were you dressed like that? Why were they drinking? And then